My parents bought every Grandkid Amusement Park passes, then handed extras to strangers while my daughter watched. Hi, I'm Nathan, 35. And last Sunday was supposed to be hot dogs, lemonade, and laughter in my parents' backyard. Instead, I watched my daughter get erased in real time. Maisie was already bouncing with excitement when we pulled into my parents' driveway. Her rainbow backpack, stuffed with stickers and handmade crayon drawings for each cousin, thumped against her side as she ran ahead toward the yard. My mom had called it Cousin's Day, casual barbecue with all the grandkids, burgers, yard games, lemonade. What she hadn't mentioned was the surprise. Season passes to Adventure Lake, the biggest amusement park in the state. Roller coasters, fireworks, water rides, the kind of place that made kids forget every bad day they'd ever had. They'd bought one for every grandkid, except mine. They made a whole show out of it. My dad stepped onto the patio holding a stack of blue envelopes like they were Academy Awards. My mom called each cousin's name, handed out the envelope with a grin, and posed for photos as the kids cheered. Maisie clung to my arm. She was the last one still waiting. Then my dad looked at the stack, gave me a shrug, and said, "Guess that's it." My mom chimed in cheerfully, almost sing-song. "Oops, sorry, sweetheart. We must have miscounted." Then, in front of her, they handed the 3 remaining passes to the Johnson boys, our neighbor's kids. Not even family. Maisie didn't cry. She just stopped smiling. That kind of quiet where the light drains out of a kid's face and doesn't come back. I asked them if they were serious. My mom laughed. "Maybe if you hadn't been so independent about the cruise last fall." And there it was, the cruise. The one they expected me to chip in for. The one I said no to because I couldn't afford it, not with asthma meds, rising rent, and skipping lunch 3 times a week to keep our heads above water. So they punished my daughter. We left without a scene. I packed up her drawings and rainbow bag while my mom shouted something about learning to take a joke. But it wasn't a joke. It was a message. I drove home with Maisie staring out the window. She didn't ask for music, didn't ask for a snack. She only asked one thing: did I do something wrong? I didn't answer, because I was still trying to believe what had just happened. But what my parents forgot was this: I was still listed as secondary manager on their bank renovation account. An account with $8,000 sitting there, untouched, waiting for drywall and plumbing. That night, I moved it. Not stolen, not spent, just inaccessible. And that was only the beginning. It took them 6 days to notice the money was gone. 6 days of Instagram posts from Adventure Lake, my nieces and nephews beaming in front of roller coasters, cotton candy smeared on their faces. Even the neighbor kids made the cut. My daughter? Nowhere in sight. Maisie saw the pictures, didn't cry, didn't ask about the park, just pressed harder into her coloring book, snapping a crayon in half without flinching. Then on the 6th day, my dad left a voicemail. "Hey Janet, we tried to log into the Reno account. Balance looks wrong. Maybe check on your end?" He didn't say missing or gone, just wrong. Like he was hoping it was a glitch and not what it actually was. I ignored the call. Next day, my mom texted, "Hi, sweetheart. There must have been a glitch. We saw the account is drained. Could you look into this?" Again with the glitch, as if $8 grand accidentally tripped and fell out of their future rental suite. I didn't reply. Saturday morning, they showed up. No heads up. Just knocked while I was making coffee, like it was 2003 again. And I was still their obedient daughter with a curfew and a need to explain myself. Maisie was on the couch, knees pulled up, watching cartoons with her stuffed owl. When the knock came, she looked up at me wide-eyed, quiet, like she was trying to guess if this was a good surprise or a bad one. I opened the door. My parents didn't waste time. My dad. "What did you do?" Not "what happened." Not "how are you?" Not "is everything okay?" My mom was already putting on that tight-lipped smile she uses before guilt-tripping me into submission. The one that says we raised you better than this, and now we're disappointed. I told them the truth. I moved the money. My mom blinked like the words didn't compute. Then? "Why would you do that?" As if they hadn't just iced out a 7-year-old in front of 2 dozen people to make a point about a cruise I didn't go on. They tried the usual spin misunderstanding. Not intentional. The neighbors just happened to be there. We didn't realize Maisie didn't get one, but they knew. Every word of it was damage control. I had finally snapped. That money was for renovations. Contractors are scheduled. Materials are ordered. What the hell am I supposed to tell them? I looked him dead in the eye. Tell them whatever you want. Then my mom said it. Family doesn't sabotage each other like this. And I almost laughed, because sabotaging someone quietly, politely, with a smile on your face while you hand 3 extra amusement park passes to neighbor kids and leave your granddaughter standing empty-handed? That's not just sabotage. That's war in slow motion. I told them to leave. They left loud, swearing I was ungrateful, that I was teaching Maisie to hold grudges, that this was childish. But what they didn't realize, that voicemail wasn't the end. It was just the warning shot. They came back 3 days later, and this time, they didn't knock. They barged in like they still owned a piece of my life. Like boundaries didn't apply to them. Like my front door was just a formality. Maisie was out front, crouched on the sidewalk with the pack of sidewalk chalk I'd bought her, drawing lopsided hearts and crooked suns. She was humming to herself, happy, for once. And then my mom's car screeched up to the curb. She was out before the engine even died. Walking fast, already smiling like nothing had happened. My dad followed slower, dragging his feet, like maybe he knew this wasn't going to end well. By the time I got to the door, my mom was already squatting beside Maisie on the pavement. Sweetheart, is that a rainbow? Oh, that's just beautiful. Remember the zoo trip last year? Maisie looked up stiff, uncertain. She didn't smile, just glanced toward the house. Like, should I let her talk to me? Like she'd already learned that grown-ups aren't always safe. I called her name. Inside, baby. She stood up without a word, brushed chalk dust off her hands, and walked past them like she didn't recognize either of them. Then it was just me and them. My mom straightened up slowly. She gave me a tight little smile, like we were about to have a calm, mature discussion. Then, without preamble, we need to talk about the account. My dad jumped in. We already paid the deposit to the contractor. Windows are coming next week. If we don't get that money back, we're going to lose thousands. I said one sentence. Then maybe you should have thought about that before using my daughter to make a point. That's when my mom changed gears. You're being cruel. Holding the renovation money hostage just to prove a point. You're punishing us over one awkward moment. I cut her off. One awkward moment? You called out every other grandkid's name like it was a game show, handed them envelopes and smiles. Then when it got to my daughter, you said, oops, ran out, and smirked. Then gave the extras to strangers. You didn't forget her. You erased her. Silence. My dad tried the soft approach. It wasn't about Maisie. We were just frustrated about the cruise. We didn't think it through. Asked him, what kind of adult punishes a child over money? He didn't answer. Then my mom said the line that flipped a switch in me. Maybe it's better we didn't get too close. Maisie's different. She's sensitive. Doesn't really fit in with the other kids. I didn't have to respond, because Maisie was standing behind the door, hand on the frame. Silent. She'd heard the whole thing. Her face didn't crumple. She just stared at them like she saw them clearly for the first time. Then she turned and walked away, and when I shut that door behind her, I realized something that chilled me to the bone. This wasn't just emotional neglect. This was emotional cruelty. And they didn't even see it. They were dangerous in the way. People are dangerous when they think love is something you have to earn. That night, Maisie couldn't sleep. She kept waking up, saying she heard voices at the door, even hours after they'd left. She clung to her stuffed owl like it was the last soft thing in the world. I sat in the dark, staring at the ceiling, and came to a decision I'd been avoiding for years. They weren't going to stop. Not unless I made them. So the next morning, called Uncle Ray. Ray isn't flashy, doesn't post family barbecues, doesn't do matching pajamas at Christmas, but he's the one everyone runs to when they need real help. Quiet help. No paperwork. No judgment. Just solutions. I hadn't spoken to him much in recent years. My parents always made him out to be weird, difficult, too private. But I remembered one thing from last year's family dinner. He'd leaned in during dessert, After my mom had made some crack about Maisie being high maintenance, and he said to me quiet but firm, "If you ever need a real reset, call me. I got you." I had no idea what he meant then. Now I did. He answered on the second ring, didn't ask why I was calling. Just said, "Got 10 minutes?" We met that afternoon at a small corner cafe. He already had coffee waiting. I told him everything, from the barbecue humiliation to the voicemail where my dad literally said, "Maybe Maisie just doesn't fit into this family anymore." Ray didn't blink, didn't interrupt, just nodded slowly, like he'd been waiting to hear it all out loud. Then he asked one question, "You done trying to fix it?" I nodded. "Yeah, I'm done." He took a sip of coffee and said, "All right then. They're out." I blinked. Out of what? He waved his hand casually. Contracts, referrals, side jobs, the business, everything. See, what my parents forgot, what I forgot, was that the only reason they'd been able to renovate their house, build that suite, float those projects, was because of Uncle Ray. He ran the family business. Not officially, not on paper, but everyone knew he was the one who made things move. Contractors, builders, loan hookups, fast track permits. He didn't advertise it, but if you were in the network, you knew. And my parents had been leaning on him for years. "We don't need to make a scene," he said. "We just need to stop saying yes." And just like that, the foundation they thought was unshakable, gone. When I left that cafe, I didn't feel vindicated. I didn't feel angry. I just felt still, like something heavy had finally stopped moving inside me. But that calm didn't last long, because 3 days later, they came back. Not to apologize, not to change, but to negotiate. And this time, they came with a plan. They parked across the street this time, didn't even pretend it was a casual visit. Sat in the car for a solid 5 minutes like they were building up the nerve, my mom probably coaching my dad on tone, facial expressions, phrasing. I watched from behind the blinds while Maisie sat at the kitchen table, quietly coloring a postcard she was making for someone special. I didn't ask who. When the doorbell rang, I already knew. This wasn't about regret. It was about control. I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. Maisie didn't need to hear whatever speech they'd rehearsed. My mom went first, of course she did. "Your uncle cut us out." Her voice was flat. No pretense this time. No sweetheart. Just cold facts. "We lost the Henderson contract. The electrician canceled. Drywall guy says he's booked till fall. This is because of you." I didn't respond. Just waited. "We helped build that business," she continued. "We've been part of it for 20 years. And now, he won't even return our calls." That's when she dropped it. "All this over a theme park pass? You're destroying your parents over one awkward moment." There it was again. Awkward moment. Like what they did to Maisie was an accidental fumble at a dinner party instead of a deliberate act of humiliation. I locked eyes with her. You didn't forget her. You looked her in the eye and handed passes to kids you barely know. Then you smiled. That's not awkward. That's calculated. She didn't deny it. Just glanced toward the house, toward the door behind me, like she was hoping Maisie was listening. Then came the final blow. "Maybe it's for the best," she said, voice soft, fake sad. "She's different, sensitive, doesn't fit in with the other kids. We always tried with her." She didn't get to finish, because Maisie was standing there, barefoot on the hardwood, holding her postcard, staring at her grandparents like she'd finally stopped wondering what she'd done wrong, and started seeing who they really were. And oh tears. No questions. Just quiet clarity. She turned and walked back inside. And when I shut the door again, I didn't feel angry. I felt done. Because you don't need to fight people who show you exactly who they are. You just need to believe them. That night, Maisie didn't draw. She just sat curled under her blanket with her cat, blinking at the ceiling, asking in a voice so small I almost didn't catch it, "Do I have to go back there?" I said, "No," and her face lit up like I just handed her the golden ticket. It wasn't vengeance I wanted. It was freedom, and that was the first time I realized we already had it. But they still thought they could claw it back, and they were about to make one final move to try. They tried going around me. Uncle Ray called on a Tuesday. Oh, small talk this time. Just said. They reached out to a junior partner, one of the new guys. Tried to act like I was being unfair. That you were making up stories. That this was just family drama. He shut it down immediately. Then, to make sure I wouldn't second guess myself, he sent me everything. Screenshots, emails, even a voicemail where my mom said, "She's letting a child's feelings dictate adult decisions." That sentence hit me like a brick. Because that's the part they still didn't understand. Or worse, they did understand, and they just didn't care. Maisie's pain was inconvenient to them. Her exclusion? A footnote. A reaction they didn't budget for. And now that it cost them something, real money, reputation, power, they wanted to rewrite the narrative. 2 days later, another message came. This time from my mom. Not "Hi, we miss you." Just, "Maybe we should speak to Maisie directly. She deserves to hear our side too." That stopped me cold. Our side? Like what happened to her was a debate. Like being iced out of a family gift ceremony was just a miscommunication that could be cleared up if a 7-year-old just heard their reasoning. I didn't reply. Maisie didn't need closure, she needed protection. So I turned off my phone and made a quiet promise to myself. They would never get near her again. Not with stories. Not with guilt. Not with revisionist history wrapped in polite smiles. And just when I thought they'd finally back off, Uncle Ray called again. He never calls twice unless something's moved. They came into the office, he said. Sat across from me like nothing happened. Said this was a big misunderstanding. That they were being punished unfairly. That you were emotional. That Maisie probably misunderstood what was said on the porch. Then his voice dropped. "So I asked your mom a question." I held my breath. I said, "Do you love Maisie?" Silence on the line. What did she say? She didn't. She just looked down and said, "We've always tried with her. Some kids just don't fit into every family dynamic. It's not our fault." I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. Because there it was. Not an accident. Not an oversight. But a belief. They didn't forget her. They decided she didn't belong. Ray finished the call with one final sentence. I told them the door's not just closed. It's locked. Permanently. When I got home, Maisie had made a new drawing. Our house. Flowers. 4 stick figures this time. Me. Her cat. Muffin. And someone new. I pointed at the 4th one. She smiled. "That's Uncle Ray. He visits now." And just like that, without drama or tears, she'd made room in her heart. Not for apologies, but for better people. For almost 2 weeks, it was quiet. Too quiet. No knocks. No texts. No, "We need to talk" voicemails. Just nothing. Maisie started sleeping through the night again. Her drawings got brighter. She started asking about soccer, about swimming lessons. She even asked if Uncle Ray could come to her class's family day. It felt like the storm had finally passed, but I knew my parents too well. That wasn't peace. That was strategy. And sure enough, one Wednesday afternoon, my phone lit up with a message from my dad. "We need to talk. Please." That single word "please" made me flinch more than if he'd screamed. I didn't respond. 2 hours later, another text. "You win. Just tell us what you want." Like this had all been a game. Like Maisie's pain was a lever they could negotiate. Then came the call. Blocked number. As always. Voicemail. My dad's voice was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that only shows up when someone's practicing their lines. He said they were sorry not for what they did, but for how things escalated. Escalated. Like this was a fender bender. Like they didn't stand on my patio and tell me my daughter didn't fit in. Then came the kicker. If you had just gone along with the cruise, like everyone else, maybe none of this would have happened. And that was all I needed to hear. Because that line said everything. They weren't sorry, they were inconvenienced. The next Sunday, Maisie and I went to a watercolor postcard event at the library. She was in her zone, covered in paint, glue stick in one hand, joy in the other. While she was making a messy sunburst card that said, "To Muffin the cat," I stepped out to take a call from Uncle Ray. "They came by again," he said. Sat across from me like we were back in business. Smiling. Said everything was just a big misunderstanding. That they were ready to move forward. I didn't breathe. "I asked your mom again," he continued. "Do you love Maisie?" I closed my eyes. "She didn't say yes," Ray said. "Didn't say no either. Just this. We've always tried with her. Some kids just don't fit into every family dynamic. It's not our fault." same words, like it was a script they rehearsed. I didn't cry, didn't shake, just nodded, even though he couldn't see me. He ended the call with this: "I told them the door isn't just closed anymore. It's bricked over. They're out. For good." When I went back inside, Maisie handed me a new postcard. A little cartoon house with flowers in the yard, 4 stick figures. Again, me, her, Muffin, and Uncle Ray. "He helps people fix things," she said. And that was it. No begging, no tears, no sadness. She didn't miss them. She'd already replaced them, and I wasn't about to let anyone convince her she was wrong for it. They made one last move. A desperate one. That night, at 11:03 p.m., I got a final message from my mom. Not a greeting, not an apology, just, "You've been talking. Maybe we should speak with Maisie directly. She deserves to hear our side too." I stared at the screen for a long time. Their side. As if a 7-year-old needs to sit through a PR campaign. As if the humiliation, the erasure, the "you don't fit in" wasn't enough. And now, they wanted to justify it. To her face, Maisie didn't need closure. She needed safety. So I didn't reply. I swiped the message away and turned off my phone. The next morning, she was curled up on the couch with Muffin, eating cereal and humming. She'd made a new fridge drawing. A tall building with "Ray's office" scrawled across the front and a stick figure waving from the window. "He helps people fix things," she told me again. A few days later, Ray called one last time. "They tried to sneak back in," he said. "They reached out to a junior contractor who didn't know the full story. Said I was being biased, letting emotions get in the way of business. Tried to pitch themselves as victims. Told him they were being blackballed unfairly. Ray had shut it down before it went anywhere, and then he sent me everything: screenshots, voicemails, emails. So I'd never have to doubt myself again. So I'd never fall for the rewrite. Every message was the same. She's emotional. She's turning the family against us. You're letting a child dictate adult decisions. A child. The same child they watched shrink in silence while they gave away passes with a smile. The same child they called too sensitive. The same one they tried to erase, then win back, not with love, but with spin." Ray said. "I told them the only way back in is through you and Maisie, and that it starts with an apology that actually means something." I already knew they wouldn't do it, because to them, apologies were currency, and now, they had nothing left to trade. So we moved on. The silence that followed was different. Not tense, not heavy, just quiet, real quiet. Maisie started sleeping better. Her drawings got wilder, brighter. She asked if she could join soccer this spring. Said she wanted to try swimming again. Then one night, while I stirred pasta and she set the table, she asked, "Are Grandma and Grandpa still mad?" I paused. "I don't know." She thought for a second, then nodded. "I don't want to go back there." "You don't have to," I told her. And just like that, she smiled. Like that was the answer she'd been hoping for all along. I never gave the money back. They never apologized, but I forgave them anyway, quietly, on my own time. Not because they deserved it, but because Maisie did. She deserved a parent who wasn't bitter, who didn't carry the pain like a trophy, who chose her every time. They thought they were punishing me by keeping her out of the family, but all they really did was show themselves the door. And Maisie, she never looked back.